get by Benning. Darnell Nurse left it in the corner, gets up center. Perry scores! Corey Perry!
Lilia able to shake away from Solani. It's given away to Solani. Around in front. Score! Teemu Solani with the steal.
And the fans want one. Score! Off the floor! On the board! Paul Kariya!
Here we are, everybody. We're back. Another Forever Mighty post-game show. It's Pat and Eddie tonight about to break this down. A ridiculous game. A 6-5 shootout win for the Ducks. Let's just be real here. The Devils scored 3 of them for Anaheim in this one, Eddie. They couldn't keep the puck out of their own net if they tried. Poor Corey Schneider hasn't won a game since December 2017. I think that's 18 straight games without a win.
It goes back to next season or last season too?
Yeah, he hasn't won in that long. It's been a brutal year for Corey Schneider, meaning calendar year, right? He just has not had good games whatsoever. Poor guy too, played his heart out in overtime, honestly. But what a hell of a game, man.
No, for real. That first period was insane. I had my job cut out for me creating all these goal things for YouTube because it was just an insane amount of goals. It felt like it was going to be 10-9 after the first period. It was just insane. I mean, we haven't seen this all year from the Ducks. They haven't been able to go toe-to-toe with any team. And it's funny, it's the two of the lowest scoring teams in the league that put up a 6-5 barn burner in a shootout.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. It didn't feel going into this we were going to get that, though, right? Like you just said, these two teams don't score a lot. And then in the first period, of course, why wouldn't it be Kyle Palmieri burning the Ducks in the opening period? Let's just get into a little bit of pregame notes. I got a little ahead of myself there. Miller makes a start in net tonight. Schneider in net for Jersey. Rakell still out. Ducks extend Bob Murray. We'll get to that at the end of the show. A little bit of postgame talk about Bob Murray. But getting started here in the first period, man, why wouldn't it be anyone other than Kyle Palmieri or Sammy Vatanen or whoever you want to pick? Yeah, Nason
will come off the bench and come back to New Jersey and score.
Or Lovejoy would put one in the net. But no, Kyle Palmieri left alone in front of the net. Mahura and Dotchin kind of lose him in the shuffle in the slot. I mean, Getzlaf was behind him. Shot goes wide. It just takes a crazy carom, and Miller kind of sprawls out, maybe overplaying a little bit, but Palmieri's going to get the chip shot over him, and it's a 1-0 Devils lead in the first period.
Yeah, it's kind of a ridiculous bounce, right? We like to blame, or at least try and place blame on any goal that goes in against the Ducks, and at least assign some kind of blame to maybe a guy out of position, or somebody's just not covering their man, or whatever, but there's not much I feel like you could do on this one. It takes a ridiculous bounce off the boards. Goes right to Palmieri. He doesn't even get all of it either. He kind of swings a little bit out. It comes off the heel of his stick and just chips softly into the net. Ryan Miller can't do anything on that one either. He's sprawled completely out. So it's a tough one. But, of course, like you said, Kyle Palmieri, of course, is the guy who's going to get the goal.
This was not a goalie's game.
No.
Goalies at either end of the ice would probably won a couple of these back, especially Schneider. He didn't have a great game whatsoever until overtime. I felt like if the Ducks would come back, Ducks able to prevent the Devils from getting out of their own zone, and a shot from up high along the half wall. I mean, this was like a 60-footer, right? It felt like it was a long way from Schneider, from Jakob Silfverberg, he just saw Kessler and someone else skating right in front of Schneider at the right time. And it just finds its way. It was a seeing eye shot there by the Ducks. Silfverberg on the board again, and now we have a tie game, man. Good to see Jakob picking up his game.
Yeah, Montour scored one like this a couple games ago, I think, where he shot it from the blue line. Rakell was in front of the net, and it just flew in. I don't think it was last game because Silfverberg who scored last game. But
it was a terrible game last game.
I think it was 2 games ago where it was similar. But the Ducks are just
against the Hawks. Yeah, it's against the Hawks.
They're just starting to throw pucks on net, and cliche again is if you're going to throw pucks on net, eventually some of them are going to go into the net. And Jakob Silfverberg, finally, we criticized him 2 games ago before he started going and putting some pucks in the back of the net that he was not doing too well since his hot start. And now he's got back-to-back goals in both games. Not the prettiest goals. A deflection off his foot and a soft wrister from literally the blue line. So it's a goal's a goal, but great start from him.
Way to quote Jim Fox, the Kings broadcast there, right?
Yeah.
Put some pucks on net, score some goals. And it's like his famous one-liner. He says it all the time. I'm sure you just made all of our Ducks fans happy.
It's accurate. It's as dumb of a cliche as it is. It's accurate in the Ducks case, especially when they can't score goals all year. So you might as well just take the Carolina Hurricanes approach and just throw every puck on net and hope that it goes in.
Corsi for the win, man. That's the way to go, right?
Oh, yeah.
Ducks would get another one, though. Sherwood on a 3-on-2 rush, enters the zone. The Ducks bring the puck in, gets a pass, and then he kind of stretches for it, tries to swing it back across the slot to Carter Rowney. I think it goes off of Nason in front of the net. Yeah, off Stefan Nason, past Corey Schneider. Now all of a sudden it's a 2-1 Ducks lead. And this is where you kind of felt like the game was going to get out of control because it was 3 goals in under 3 minutes combined for these teams who just can't seem to find the back of the net all season. Yeah. But now the Ducks have a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, it's funny that it is a former Duck or one of the former Ducks that it goes in off of. It almost feels like not an own goal in that sense. But Kiefer Sherwood doesn't. If he handles that puck, it would be similar to the Montour goal that we'll talk about later, where he actually would get a pretty good shot off, but he doesn't really get a good handle on it. But hey, throw pucks on net, and good things happen.
There we go.
Goes in off Stefan Nason's foot and into the net. But Corey Schneider, he was swimming on that one. He was way out of position. I mean, I don't know why he expected Sherwood to take a shot from that angle, but he played it like that, and he's just gliding over to Sherwood's shot.
He wasn't ready for tonight. I feel like he didn't look good. I mean, the broadcast, Hayward even pops out and made comments about how he felt that Schneider was overplaying shots and kind of swimming around a bit. Man, I agree. He didn't look ready for tonight's game. Go through the rest of this period pretty much. Ducks with some strong shifts. I mean, Andre Kasha, dude. Have we gone a game since he's been back and not talked about how well he's played other than maybe Carolina?
Yeah, but even in that game, he did okay. He still looked probably like one of the better Ducks forwards. I think it's been pretty much every game that we've mentioned him in some way or another in a positive light on what he's doing for this offense, whether it's his speed or him creating a chance or whatever. And then in this game, he just stepped it up a whole nother notch and just looked amazing.
So we've gone through 3 goals, and we have 3 more that are going to happen before this period's over. So let's get to the Devils' next goal. Taylor Hall comes flying in, clips Larson. Now, is that a penalty? Clipped him. It was incidental to me. I don't think it was. I felt like some people were calling for a penalty. That one probably wasn't going to be one the refs were going to make. I mean, Hall tried to squeeze in, and I mean, things happen in hockey. You clip somebody, but Larson falls down on the side of the net, and then he's able to collect the puck and then just feed a absolute perfect pass for a bomb of a shot by Kyle Palmieri, of course. Yep. I mean, why wouldn't he be all over the ice tonight? Beats Miller far side to the blocker, dude. That was a beautiful, beautiful shot by Kyle Palmieri, honestly, man. And it makes it a 2-2 game. Man,
Kyle Palmieri already has 16 goals this year.
No, he does not.
Yes, he does. That was his 16th of the season. He started out really hot, struggled a bit. Now he's started to score again. Obviously, 2 in this game. He had
good thing we traded him for like what, a 3rd-round pick,
2nd and a 3rd, yeah.
Second and a 3rd, yeah.
Listen, I get why they made that trade, but it sucks. I think he scored 30 either last year or 2 years ago for the.
When
Devils.
You have no depth scoring and you reflect on these trades, this hurts a little bit, man.
He'll probably score 30 this year unless he completely collapses. They're just over probably the same as the Ducks, just over 30 games into the season, so a little bit less than halfway. And he's already at 16. If he just plays anywhat similar to the rest of the season, he'll finish with over 30 goals, which is
keep playing on a line with Taylor Hall.
Yeah, he's playing with Taylor Hall and Nico Hischier. So, and he's on the first power play unit with Taylor Hall, who has a 12 power play assist this year and no power play goals. So guess who's getting those power play goals? It's Kyle Palmieri.
Who's feeding him? Yeah,
but it was a great shot. I mean, he picked the top corner. He had to go there off the one timer, and I mean, we all miss him. I mean, that's what we miss. That's what the Ducks need, is a guy like that.
Oh yeah. Moving on here along in this first period, immediately in front of the net, Lindholm drops. I think it was Miles Wood twice in front of the net. I was focused on that. People kind of get together. Next thing I know, Brandon Montour is heading to the penalty box out of nowhere. Apparently, he took a hooking penalty, which would put the Devils on a power play. And this is one that I feel that Miller's going to want back when he takes a look at this tape.
Yeah.
But Devils get a power play goal by Severson. It was just I don't remember who passed the puck, but there was a play at the side of the net, like really close to Ryan Miller. Miller didn't have his stick blocking the crease like a lot of goalies do, and he was able to feed it right between the defender's skate all the way across to Severson, who's able to blast it home. Miller has to go left to right with the blocker, went under his arm and body, and now it's a what did that make? That made it a 3-2 game at that point for the Devils. But I mean, sometimes it happens, but this just wasn't a goalie's night for sure.
No, it was Marcus Johansson who fed it across to Severson, and I think it's on Ryan Miller there for not blocking that pass, but it's kind of on Jake Dotchin as well. The way he positions himself on that goal, he's got his stick facing outwards away, and he's got his back to Ryan Miller. At that point, if you might as well just defend stick first and try and get something in the passing lane. I know he's maybe worried then about deflecting into his own net or whatnot, but nobody has a stick in the passing lane, and when you're not facing the play there, he doesn't see Severson somehow, even though he's facing Severson on the back post. So I think it's on both of them. But yeah, you're right. Ryan Miller's going to look at that and want that back and wonder why he just didn't have a paddle down to block that pass. I don't know if he didn't think that Johansson could get it across, or maybe the more likely option is he didn't see Severson at the back post. But tough one because he almost gets it too. Just finds a hole underneath his blocker.
Yeah, if that was a higher shot, Miller makes a save. I feel like on that play. But the Ducks, of course, would come back because we wouldn't look out of this period without 6 goals going on the board to talk about tonight, and keeping Eddy busy all night with making gifts. You got a break in the second period, all right? So, you don't need to complain too much.
As long as it, like I said, if it didn't finish 10-9, I got a break. So it's okay.
You were good.
Yeah.
So this play about had my jaw on the floor, and I don't know why, but I stood up yelling because Ondrej Kase, man. I know that Montour gets the goal here on the rush, but Ondrej Kase literally out-stick handles along the half wall 3 New Jersey Devils players or defenders, and then is able to feed the puck across the ice on a streaking Montour under the stick of yet another defender, and then Montour with a shot that wires it past Corey Schneider. Another goal that I feel that another goaltender would have made the save on, but Montour is able to get this puck and rip it over the glove of Corey Schneider and make it 3-3. But Ondrej Kase, dude, I was sitting there and I was deciding what jersey I wanted to get this year, and I'm sold on Lindholm, but I'm like, man, I don't know. I kind of want to get a Kase jersey too. That guy's insane, man. What a hell of a play by that guy.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he dangles around, I think, 3 Devils players and then beats a
just
fourth
that
with the
puck
pass.
Control.
Yeah. One of the most creative players with the puck on the team. Maybe you could look at Rakell and Getzlaf and probably put him up in that category, I think, especially just the way he's playing.
I think so.
We had 3 points in this game, a goal and 2 assists, I believe. So he's just been unstoppable. This is one of, I think, his better games of the season. Just was all over the place, creating offense. The game sheet at the beginning had him with Ritchie and Henrique, but then I believe he got bumped up to play with Getzlaf and Aberg, because that's how the starting 3 that went out on the ice were Getzlaf, Aberg, and Kase. So he's, again, a versatile guy. You can put it anywhere in the lineup, and he'll do well. He played on the 4th line 2 games ago, did well there. Got promoted up to the 2nd line, did well there. Now he's on the 1st line, and he had one of his best games of the season. So he's just such a versatile player, such an important player to the Ducks roster, and I feel like he's really underrated in the sense that he always is contributing on a nightly basis. Like we said, we're talking about him every podcast about what the good things he's doing. I don't think we've ever said a negative thing about him this season.
No,
there really
he doesn't make dumb plays, man.
Exactly.
And when he loses the puck, he's on his own ass all the way back hustling. That guy doesn't give up, dude. He is just, for my money, the best player on the ice tonight.
He's an easy player to root for. One of those guys who just never quit. And he doesn't make any mistakes, so there's really nothing to hate. So he's just been unbelievable since coming back. It would have been great to have him for the full season if this is the type of Ondrej Kase that we were going to get.
I mean, he had such a great game tonight. I would say he and Paul Murray were the best 2 players on the ice. One for either team. Montour had a solid game as well. But, Ondrej Kase, I can't say enough good things about that guy. He's been just a wonder on this team with how well he's been able to fit in. And that speed and puck skills that he's brought to this team is just game-changing for him. So we end the first period 3-3, 15 to 12 shots on goal. Devils lead that category. they get the power plays, kind of assists them in that sense as well. But getting on to the second period, not much was happening, and you kind of expected that early on just because, I mean, the coaches are like, holy hell, you can't be giving up that many chances going either way, guys. You need to figure this out. But, I mean, that obviously wouldn't hold that well after the second period. But Kyle Palmieri, again, man, just dominant on the ice again in this period. I noticed him a lot, and it would lead to many chances for them. But the Devils would get a goal, and it was Cini on a rebound after Sherwood overskates the puck in the neutral zone, gives the Devils a 3-on-2 break. I don't know what you're going to say about this one, about Miller at this point, but I mean, it just is what it is. Cini able to clean it up, and now all of a sudden it's it's a 4-3 game.
Yeah, I think this is another one Miller's going to look back on and kind of criticize himself a bit, because this was a big rebound to give up on what really wasn't a hard shot for him to save. He could see all of it. The screen came in after, and he just kind of kicks it out to open space. I don't think he realized that Cini was going to be there, but it's one he's going to want back because, again, like the one before, he didn't block the passing lane on Severinson's goal, and on this one, he just kicked the rebound right out to a guy. And like we said at the beginning of the game, it wasn't a goalie's night, and Ryan Miller didn't have the best game. He was duking it out with Corey Schneider and what was just going to be a goal fest pretty much for the entire night. So tough one for him, but I mean that's just the way this game was going. Every shot was pretty much going in the back of the net. There was chances left, right, and center for both teams. It was just end to end. Even in the second period when it slowed down, there was just a ton of chances. Like you said, Palmieri was all over the place. Andre Kasha was getting chances all over the place. So it's just a wide open game.
Yeah, and it wouldn't end, right? This back and forth would carry on to the third period. But before we get there, I gotta say a couple more things about the second period. And one of those was the phantom high stick call on my boy Lindholm that Kyle Palmieri didn't even get clipped, didn't even get touched with the high stick. His visor didn't move, his helmet didn't move. The stick goes right over his head. It's close, and then all of a sudden he skates another stride and then does this. Like he got hit in the face with a stick. I hate that, man.
Yeah.
I would hate it if a Ducks player did it. I'm not a fan of that. I get you're trying to.
Is great at it.
It's brutal, dude.
Yeah.
It's so brutal. I mean, say what you want. I know that people are like, well, you gotta try to get an advantage at some point, or get the call on your side and do what you got to do to win. But oh my god, man, I hate that kind of crap. I'm not a fan of it whatsoever.
No, it's soccer stuff. It's soccer. And
yeah. It's that kickball sport that you love so much. They do that in all the time.
Yeah, it's such. I hate it. I mean, you see it in every sport to some extent. Like in the NBA, you start to see it now more often, where a guy will push somebody and a guy just falls onto the court all over the place. And in hockey, it's starting.
Big old 6'7", 270-pound basketball players.
Yeah.
Like,
the problem with it, I think, is because, just like in soccer, the reason they do it is because it gives you an advantage. You get a power play out of it. Or in soccer, it's all over the place because generally you get a penalty shot over it, and you get a direct chance to score a goal. And players are starting to do it because, I mean, if you're going to get a power play chance, if you're a good team on the power play, that's a huge chance to get a goal, an important goal in the game. So you're going to start to see it more when guys do that. And it sucks. Nobody wants to see that in the game. We all hate it when you see guys like Philip Forsberg, and even PK Subban's been accused of diving in the past or embellishing. Nazem Kadri's been a guy who's been fined for that multiple times. So unfortunately, I feel like it's here to stay, and it just sucks. It's really because the refs, it's hard to see it. And
I don't blame the referees on that one. It was close, but it didn't clip him. It's like, come on.
It's hard to see it, and if you see the stick up and you see a guy react, you kind of just have to assume that that's what happened, and they don't get the benefit of the replay on that, so it sucks.
Which I'm happy about.
Yeah.
I don't need a replay for everything. We don't need to be coaches challenging every little play on the ice. I'm okay with it. It happens in games. It just frustrates me when I see it. But then Miller would get a lot more work as he had to make a hell of a save on a breakaway on Coleman. And then, I mean, at least he held the Ducks in here because he would have to later save one on Taylor Hall, or almost have to save one on Taylor Hall because Hall flubbed that play. He had blue line in breakaway, and I remember putting my hand in on my face and just going like this as I watched the game, and then I watched him flub it. I was like, oh, thank God. I thought for sure Hall was going to bury that one.
If he got it to the forehand, that was it. And he just missed it. He tried to roll it back from the back side of his stick over to the front, and he just missed receiving the front part of his stick to get it for his shot. He just misses it, and he just fires it into the corner. And even that almost goes into the net. But, yeah, he's not a guy the last guy you want to give a breakaway to on the Devils is Taylor Hall. Because he was really, really close to putting that in the back of the net. If you give him another chance, he probably scores on it too.
He's going to bury it.
Yeah, he doesn't mishandle the puck that often.
So, and then just talking about missed calls here, Getzlaf gets decked in the corner when he didn't have the puck. He was not happy about that. I think it happened before the Hall breakaway, but he gets up, goes after somebody in the corner, nothing there. Kasha gets a streaky play through the middle of the ice, going the opposite direction and through the neutral zone. I think that was like a really obvious trip to me. The Devils take him down. No call there again. That's when you heard, like, I don't know how many people were at the Ducks game tonight, but over 10,000 at least, right? It wasn't a packed house.
Yeah.
But lots of people there chanting "Ref, you suck," which was great to hear. Always fun to hear when you're at an arena, but it was very audible on TV as well.
Yeah, and I think that's because a lot of them got to see that replay on the Hampus Lindholm penalty, and you could see that there was embellishment. And then of course, when a call doesn't go your way, you get a little bit more upset than maybe you would have to begin with. I think it should have been a penalty. It was close when Kasha got tripped, and then the missed call on Getzlaf too. But it feels so much worse when Hampus Lindholm goes to the box for what was deemed a phantom high stick because Palmieri embellishes the play, so it makes it that much worse.
No, that was so tough. But the Ducks get out of that period, only letting one goal in. It's a 4-3 Devils lead going into the third. Really strong start by the Ducks in the third period here. They went back to their dump and chase hockey for some reason. They even mentioned that on the broadcast, and they called it blue collar work. And I was like, I don't know, like.
Blue collar.
Come on. Can we not endorse dump and chase hockey? It only works when you have extremely fast players that are going to outskate. And there were chances where the Ducks were able to collect the puck in the corner, but that's not the way you play behind. You need to be carrying the puck and creating off the rush, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm not employed by an NHL team, so what do I know?
They praised Randy Carlyle at one point during the broadcast, too, for the Ducks having the record that they have at this point. They said that most of the credit should fall on Randy Carlyle's shoulders, and I was about ready to switch over to the MSG broadcast at that point, and just because, I mean, I get it. And this is typical with the Ducks, where you see that you can't be critical of the team at all in any type of professional format with this team, whether it be social media or their actual broadcast. So they can't say anything bad about Randy Carlyle whatsoever. So they're literally crediting him with the Ducks' success. And we said that I don't think he is void of all credit at all. He has to get a little bit, but
sure,
yeah, goaltending for one. Some of the pickups that the Ducks have had, Pontus Aberg has been great. Daniel Spong's been good since coming over. And just the general leaders on this team and Ryan Getzlaf are kind of carrying the load for the Ducks. But I can't believe it. I can believe it, but it's just so cringy to hear them praise Randy Carlyle for the Ducks' success and put most of the praise on his shoulders.
He's the best around. He's definitely the best coach around. And this was the unfortunate part of the third period here. Taylor Hall drives the net. Mahura is able to keep pace with them, they're basically leaning on each other. Mahura trying to push Hall away from the front on his drive. Unfortunate here. They both lose their balance, go sliding into the net. I originally thought Mahura hit his face on the post, and that's why they were rushing the trainer out, because Hall was waiting for the trainer. Upon further review, Miller has his foot just on the outside of the post.
Yeah.
And Mahura goes right into his knee. That looks like a hyperextension the wrong way. And that is not good news for the Ducks, as that's a bad knee injury, I feel like. Hopefully I'm wrong. That didn't look good for Ryan Miller, though, as he gets carted off the ice, or carried off the ice with assistance from the trainer.
It's a tough one for sure. It's not one that I think cripples the Ducks. I mean, if it was John Gibson, as bad as that might be to say, that's obviously worse for him to go out than Ryan Miller at this point. The Ducks, in the rest of December, only have one back-to-back. It's the 17th and 18th against Pittsburgh and the Rangers. So if he is out for any extended period of time, that's the only point where they're really going to feel that. John Gibson was likely going to play all the next remaining games except that back-to-back game anyway, so hopefully he's okay. Hopefully it isn't an injury. Hopefully they just kept him out for precautionary reasons because the game was just a ridiculous game anyway to begin with the amount of goals going to the back of the net, and then maybe they just decided to keep Gibby in for the rest of the game just to kind of keep Miller out and not to further extend that injury. We don't really know. I hope we hear something tomorrow. With no game until Sunday, we might not hear anything until Sunday morning, but hopefully he's okay.
Probably going to see Kevin Boyle called up, unless Miller's fine. But it didn't look good. Yeah. It honestly didn't look good. I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
The Ducks in this third period, though, after that, Gibby would come into net and then have to make an unreal stop. I mean, the GIF you posted was beautiful because Gibby's moving all the way over to his blocker side to make this initial save. I didn't even see who deflected the puck on its way to the net, but it made it go back to his glove side. So if he wasn't 6'4", I don't know if he makes the save with the toe of his skate, but he follows that puck and is like, oh crap, has to come back and then flick his toe out of the last second to keep the score at 4-3 Devils, because that should have been behind him. That should have been the 5th goal of the game for New Jersey there. Yeah,
John Gibson doesn't need warm up, I guess, because he's just
no warm ups
and make a ridiculous save when sitting on the bench for 75% of the game. Insane save. It's a save that I think only a few goalies in this league can make. The most athletic goalies really can only do this. But John Gibson is like you said, he's going the opposite way. And he's sliding to the right side of his net and is still able to extend his paddle enough to get a toe save. I don't know many guys who can do that, honestly, who have the ability to do that. That's a really difficult save to make. That it still looked great, but he made it look easier than it was. That is an outstanding save to be able to do that. And he got a pretty big piece of it, despite sliding completely to the right side of the net. Unbelievable from John Gibson. We've said that I don't know how many times this year. He seems to make 1 or 2 of these saves a game.
It feels like it, right?
Yeah.
It feels like he's always in the game like that. Ducks end up coming back and getting a tying goal thanks to that beautiful save on probably the most ridiculous play I've seen this season from Anaheim. Aberg, not even looking at the net, is skating off, right? He just hoists a backhand from the blue line, floats all the way, and Ben Lovejoy in front of the net attempts to grab the puck, goes in and out of his glove, and then over poor Corey Schneider, who didn't have a chance in hell to make that save, because what is he supposed to do? Yeah. He's not counting on his defenseman trying to catch the damn puck from a shot that far out. What a crazy turn of events for Anaheim. But Aberg, picked up off the waiver wire. I think he has 10 goals now, if I'm correct here.
Yeah.
Is able to get a goal here. Unreal by him, the way he's just been able to find the back of the net. But that's the most bizarre-looking goal that I've seen in a long time, man. Made a 4-4.
Don't say that yet, because the goal after this is pretty ridiculous too. I think it could rival this one. Another former Duck too, putting the puck in his own net. First Stefan Nason and then Ben Lovejoy. Ridiculous.
Beautiful.
I don't think I've ever seen a guy whiff on it, a player whiff on it with his glove and direct it into his own net from pretty far out too. But it takes like a huge bounce off his glove. It takes at least like a foot bounce up into the air off his glove and over Corey Schneider's shoulder and into the net. A ridiculous goal. The Ducks got lucky on 3 goals into this game. Other than that, again, get pucks to the net, and the good things are going to happen. They scored 3 goals or 4 goals from getting pucks to the net in this game. So I'll take
your new name's Eddie Fox.
Yeah. Hey.
I'm gonna start calling you Eddie Fox.
I like the cliches.
Then you must love John Allers.
Yeah, we'll table that for another time. I don't know about that.
The Ducks would come back with yet another goal, man. And this one was bizarre, too. We got to hop on this. We had so many goals tonight. We can't spend the whole show breaking it down. But Andre Kasha gets yet another goal. Golden opportunity on the side of the net. Schneider makes a hell of a first save on Andre Kasha on the side of the net. Pops the puck up. I thought for sure this goal was going to get waved off immediately because Richie was in front. I thought it was his stick that swats the puck in.
Same here.
But no, it's none other than Green, the New Jersey Devils captain, swats the puck He just hit the top of the puck rather than under the puck, knocks it in under the bar. I would be so pissed if I was Corey Schneider. But what are you going to do there? All of a sudden, the Ducks take a 5-4 lead in a game that was just back and forth and crazy. But another own goal for the Devils here to give the Ducks the 5-4 win, or 5-4 lead, rather.
I don't know why Green just doesn't take his hand off his stick and just
swat
it out of it. He had enough time. It was high enough above the crossbar, but he decides to go with the stick and
it's so unpredictable when you swing it like that.
Well, yeah, because he hits it off the bottom of his stick and it goes straight down into the net. And you see by his reaction, I mean, they'd known at that point that they had put 2 pucks in the back of their own net. And then you see from his reaction, he just slumps over the crossbar at that point because
he was so bummed.
Yeah, that was the go-ahead goal for the Ducks late in the third period. And putting in your own net, at that point, you'd put 3 of 5 in your own net.
Brutal.
Doesn't feel good. Corey Schneider, as bad as his season's been, and he didn't look great in this game, he's looking back on this just, I think, furious with his team. Stefan Nason
he didn't deserve this fate tonight. No. He didn't deserve it.
Well, the Stefan Nason one, whatever. I mean, that's unlucky. But the Ben Lovejoy one and then Andy Green, they were both put in to their own net. Just off plays they didn't really have to make. I would be upset, especially if I'm Corey Schneider and you look at the fact that now he's 0-6 this year. And his save percentage has to be sub 850 this year. And his goals against average was above 4 going into this game, so it's only gone up from there. He's not going to be happy.
So I'm a little pissed off the Ducks broadcast, by the way.
Well,
earlier in the third period, they decided to show the New Jersey Devils record after leading after 2. They're like 83-0-10 or something like that, or 13 or something like that. And then they made the mention after the Ducks get the go-ahead goal on 5-4. Something about this being like the Devils' first regulation loss, or it could be. They totally screwed him on that, right? I mean, I'm a big believer in the way things go when you say things like that in hockey, right? You don't ever talk about a shutout or it's going to get blown here. But the Devils pull Schneider with about 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go. Just a mass of hockey players standing in front of John Gibson. Shot comes through, bangs around, Boyle's in front, Kessler's in front, Palmieri's in front, Johansson's in front, just a mob of freaking people in front of Gibby. Gibby's like all hunched low trying to look for the puck, not able to see the Johansson, gets a stick on it. Just over the pad and glove of John Gibson to tie the damn game up. And why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't this game go to overtime? It's 5-5.
Yeah, and the funny thing is Kyle Palmieri doesn't get a point on that, but he makes that play by just sending a puck on net into the crease. And it creates a mad scramble. John Gibson can't do anything on this one. He's looking for the puck, and there's about 10 sticks in the crease trying to find it. Pops up perfectly to Marcus Johansson, who he doesn't even know where he's shooting it. He's just trying to get it on net at that point. But it's a tough one. It's a tough way to not get a win in regulation, because I felt like despite the obvious own goals in this game, I felt like the Ducks deserved to win that after coming back a couple times being down by a goal. And it's a tough one to lose it to, because you can't really blame anybody for that. It's just a mad scramble that luckily bounced to Johansson that he was able to put in the back of the net. So John Gibson, again, he was excellent in this game. It always feels like he'll make the ridiculous saves, and then just a soft one or one you can't really blame him for or get by him.
It happens, and I agree with you. It was, 58 seconds to go in the game that Marcus Johansson was able to get the puck by him and get his stick on the puck. We go to overtime. Kind of a boring beginning of the overtime. The Devils did a lot of nothing but standing around. I felt like they just wanted to get to the shootout in the beginning of the overtime period. But then Heischer nearly wins it on a drive on the front to the front of the net against John Gibson. Gibson sprawls. I thought it was in the net for a moment there, but the puck actually popped out the backside. And then the Ducks would go on another rush back the other way. Mahura's denied on a 3-on-1. So you get a little bit going back and forth there. Henrique denied on a cross cut, in front of Schneider as well. Probably Schneider's best save of the game was right there in overtime on Adam Henrique. And then Vatanen gets stripped by Aberg, and Getzlaf combined to knock a puck loose in overtime here. And Aberg ends up getting a shot on Schneider. Big save there. But that's the end of overtime. Going on to the shootout, Aberg denied, palms denied, thank God, as Gibby did the pad stack.
That was a veteran move. That was great.
I can't believe he
smiled
did that.
after that, too.
He was super excited
He's
about
having
it.
fun, yeah.
But that's such a ballsy move.
Yeah, well, the shooters get to have fun, so why can't John Gibson do a little pad stack and show some flair?
Jason would have loved to be able to talk about that. That's something Jason would try to pull off.
Yeah, he's
in a
gonna be
men's league
upset
game.
that he didn't
Sure.
get to talk about this one.
So, and then Sprong, of course, why wouldn't he get on the board? He fakes forehand, goes backhand, in tight, by the way. He pulled that move off nice and in tight there on Corey Schneider to beat him on the backhand. And then Hall, you're thinking is going to deke the entire way. At least I felt Taylor Hall was going to fly in on Gibson and deke. Wires one. I mean, Gibby didn't move till that puck rang off the crossbar.
Yeah.
But saved by the post there against John Gibson.
He took a lot of speed, too. Hall came from, like, the opposing blue line to wind up for that shootout attempt, and he was just flying in. So usually if a guy's coming in that fast, you're expecting like a forehand, backhand, deke or something like that. I think that's what Gibby was waiting for. He was just waiting for Hall to make a move, and instead of making a move, he just fires a snapshot off the crossbar. So he completely fooled Gibby. So it was a great play by Hall. He couldn't get the shot into the top corner, which luckily, because I mean, again, Taylor Hall somehow missed 2 breakaways in this game, the shootout attempt and the breakaway in the second period. So that doesn't happen too often.
Lady luck on the Ducks side for sure in this game, man, just because of the weirdness of how they've scored goals and goals that didn't go in. Usually when players come in that fast, too, they make a move. But not only that, you see guys that come flying in and then pump the brakes, like in the lower end of the slot, and then deke, and the goalie's all backed up. Oh, yeah, the goalie's already all backed up tight from the speed, and then you have a lot of net. But then it would go on to the captain. None other than Ryan Getzlaf does his little patented move where he fakes the forehand shot, quickly goes back and then pulls it back to forehand again, and he beats Corey Schneider down low. Game over. Ducks win 6-5. Holy hell, man. 11 goals in tonight's game. Not something you and I thought we'd be talking about anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, after the first, I thought it was going to be a lot higher score just because it felt like it was that much of an open game. And even with coaching adjustments, just how bad these teams are defensively, I thought it was just going to be an unreal game. But still high scoring, still 6-5. Didn't expect it. Ducks' offense against the Hurricanes was anemic. I guess it wasn't that much better in this game because 3 of their 5 regulation goals were because of Devils players. But, yeah, I mean, the Ducks don't put up 6 goals, and I guess one's a shootout goal. But still, they don't put up 6 goals often this year. So it's nice to see that of a bit of a change. It was a lot more exciting game. It was a huge turnaround from the Hurricanes game, which was as boring as it could get. And then you get an exciting 6-goal first period and a goal in the final minute to tie the game, and then a couple of nice shootout goals. So it was an exciting one for sure.
A combined 34 giveaways in this game between the two teams. Anaheim with 18, Devils with 16. Kind of tells the story of why it was so wide open most of the time. A lot of turnovers in tonight's game. But the Ducks are able to squeak out the win there, 6-5 in a shootout. The captain sealing the deal. Let's get on to the post-game. We go into, got any questions tonight? I didn't know it was kind of a light Sunday night for us.
Yeah, we got one question, and it regards something we haven't talked about yet, is the All-Star game. So Herb You Stinks on Reddit asked, who do you think will get sent to the All-Star game? Do you think we'll get to send 2 players? I guess we'll just keep this to the Pacific. So who do you think will get sent to the All-Star game? I guess first, who do you think is going to be the captain of the Pacific team?
Oh, jeez, dude. I don't know. The Pacific Division captain?
It's probably going to be Connor McDavid.
Yeah, I would say it's going to be McDavid for sure. I was going to say him or somebody on Calgary. I mean, Calgary's lighting it up right now. Maybe
vote, right? So.
Johnny Hockey. Yeah, fan vote. It's going to be McJesus. He's going to get the call for the C to the All-Star game for sure in San Jose. For the Ducks, I mean, I would like to see Andre Kasha go just because how well he's been playing. John Gibson's another one that I would send. And then, the captain's always going to get some votes. But I would love to see Andre Kasha, but I think it's going to be Gibby or Getz. What about you?
Yeah, I think when you look at the goalies in the Pacific, I think John Gibson has probably had the best season, and he'd be the most likely one to go. Antti Raanta just actually went down for the entire season.
There goes my prediction.
Yeah, Yeah, there goes my fantasy team too.
What's fantasy hockey? I don't know what that is.
Right. Yeah. Jonathan Quick is probably not going to go because he's been not that great this year. Martin Jones has been inconsistent. Marc-Andre Fleury's been inconsistent at times. John Gibson's really been the only guy in the Pacific that's been consistently good. And if the Ducks have to send one player, as per the rules. So John Gibson, I think, is the easy choice. After that, maybe Ryan Getzlaf. How many points did he have tonight? 2, I think. So he's at 24 points in 26 games. So he's
always a point per game guy. He's solid for that.
So I think if I don't know if he's going to beat out some of the other guys, especially some of the other centers. When you think of obviously Connor McDavid and Sean Monahan, and it'll be tough for him, I think, to get in there. But he'll be close. Andre Cash is maybe a tough one. Even with the 3 points tonight, he is up to 11 points in 14 games. But the big number there is he's only played 14 games. I don't know if the NHL is going to look at that, and then you're going to put him up against some very good players. Again, Calgary comes up. You're going to put him against Johnny Gaudreau and Elias Lindholm and Matthew Tkachuk. It's going to be tough to say he's better than those guys. Timo Meier in San Jose. It's a tough one. I would love for him to go, but I think he would have had to play the whole season, and he'd probably have to be sitting at close to a point per game, maybe 20, 21 points right now for him to get even considered, because he's got a lot of guys ahead of him that are in a similar position to he is.
Yeah, I know, that's true. It's most likely going to be the captain and John Gibson if we get to. That's pretty much what it's going to be. And then you mentioned something about, I think the broadcast mentioned it too, is Aberg, I keep saying Aberg, but Aberg, the best waiver pickup of all time? That's a tough question.
That's a hard one to look up, because I don't know all the guys who have been picked up off waivers. All time is a big statement. And Pontus Aberg has been good, but I don't know, man. He had a goal tonight, so he's at 10 goals, 16 points in 26 games. That's really good, but is it the best of all time? Maybe best in Ducks history.
Probably that.
Yeah.
I would say probably that. He's been absurd with how well he's played and the points he's put up.
It's also early too, though, right? I mean,
he's a one-dimensional player.
Yeah.
He's there to score and create offense, and he does a really good job at that. So I would say he's probably the best Ducks waiver pickup. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I can't even name one off the top of my head of a really good one. Obviously, there are some guys who are more so fourth liners than anything, but I can't even remember a really good one, because waiver pickups don't really happen that often, and when they do, they really don't ever work out. They might look good, but I don't think they've ever panned out in this way in recent memory for the Ducks. And then for other teams, generally it doesn't happen, because there's a reason these guys are getting put on waivers. Not many very good players get put on waivers for a reason, right? So I don't know. I would love to do more research on that. I really want to find out some of the guys that have been placed on waivers and how they've done later, because I feel like there's got to be one or two out there who have just tore it up after they got and went over to another team, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
So Shock in our chat here on Spreaker says, what's fantasy hockey? And then he puts it all caps. It's where you accept my trade, Pat. So he's not happy that I forget about my fantasy team time and time again. I'll have to review the trade and see what it is.
Yeah, how many times you said I'll have to review the trade? We literally have 20 people, and I think you are the only one not setting your lines.
Wait, thanks for throwing me under the bus. Yeah, I know. I haven't been a very good hockey GM this year, or last year, or the year before that. I don't know what it is. I'll get to it. I'll check it. I'll put it on my docket for tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. See if I get to it. Then we got to talk about Bob Murray. Let's move on here to the real general manager who makes things happen. He gets an extension here from Ducks upper management, a 2-year extension here to stay in Anaheim. Some of Bob's accomplishments: became Ducks general manager November 2008. So he's been here quite some time, 10 years, and 5 Pacific Division titles. And I mean, playoff appearances, right? He's the only team behind Pittsburgh for the streak of most playoff appearances. and a winning percentage of .610. That's what the broadcast said. But you could look around, man. I know they haven't won a cup, and I've been critical of Bob many times, except when I see him in Starbucks. He's very nice. I've always been very nice to him. But some questionable contracts, sure. But we just talked about a guy we picked up off of waivers who leads the team in goals.
Yeah.
The guy does make good moves for this team. How do you feel about it? Like, what was your first reaction?
The one thing I'm trying to figure out is when was his contract going to expire to begin with?
I thought it was this year.
Because, like, listen, I get... okay, so he's under contract through 2021, 2022. You know, ironically enough, guess what that takes him through? The expansion draft.
Yeah.
So it gives the Ducks a stable direction through the Seattle expansion draft so they know who's going to be leading them through that. I think that has something to play with it. Look when the announcement comes, a week or so after that announcement, that when Seattle is going to get a team and when they're going to start their season.
Interesting.
It's kind of more than a coincidence at that point, right? I think the Samuelis fully believe in Bob Murray's abilities. I think they want him around, but it is interesting timing to give him that extension, give him just a 2-year extension that puts him past the expansion draft. So the Ducks now know who's going to be leading them through that, who's going to be at the helm past that. And again, I mean, look at after that season, or going into that season, actually, the contracts that will be up. Ryan Getzlaf, Corey Perry's contracts will expire heading into that 2021-2022 season. So that will be up to Bob Murray to negotiate if he wants to keep them around. After that season, Ryan Kessler's contract is gone. If the Ducks want to go in a new direction with a new general manager, that's the perfect time to do it. When Ryan Kessler's contract is off the books, presumably, possibly, or at least the contract says we know them for Getzlaf and Perry will no longer exist. So if they want to give a new GM the reins, he's got an open playing field to work with, other than obviously some of the contracts that have been signed, but it's a lot more flexibility than, let's say, if you were to fire Bob Murray at the end of this season and hand a new GM basically a box with a lock on it. He can't do anything with it. He's got a ton of contracts that have already been signed before he got there. I mean, like, if any GM right now, take any GM in the league, what are they going to do that different than Bob Murray right now with this team? Well, they're kind
of locked.
There's really
they're
not
locked
much
in.
you can do. Yeah, there's not much you can do, and I mean, Bob Murray's handcuffed himself in not being able to make some heavy deadline day acquisitions in the past and going out to get the best players because of the contracts that they have, right? So I get it. I mean, a friend of our show, Hannah Spraker, she was upset with it, and I get why people are upset possibly with bringing back Bob Murray, because there are things that he doesn't do that even I don't agree with a lot of the plays he does at the deadline. Getting Jason Chimera and Chris Kelly last year is the big plays when you're at the close to the end of your Stanley Cup window. And even before, you're really not going out and getting anybody. Getting Patrick Eaves, it did work out, but that was the big play 2 years ago, right? When Evander Kane was available and we had other guys available, he didn't go out and get them. He said he was involved in discussions, but he didn't like what they gave up. I think
Pacioretty too, right? I know they were in on Pacioretty.
And that was a legit announcement. I think even it was either LeBron or Darren Dreger that put out that the Ducks were interested in Pacioretty, and they didn't end up getting a deal done. It's just disappointing when it seems like the general manager doesn't believe enough in his team to go out and get rid of those assets. So I understand why people are upset, but Bob Murray's done some great things.
He thinks his team isn't good enough to be a Stanley Cup contender. He may mention today or during the press conference, right after he signed the deal. They're a playoff team. Yeah, it's a real crap dumpster fire of a division. Mm-hmm. So there's chances here, right? They're 8-2 in their last 10 games, and we're heading into the new year pretty shortly. They have a big road trip coming up, but right now the Ducks are a playoff team, and I don't see that changing really with the way that this conference is going to shake out. But a Stanley Cup contender, no. So maybe he's just kind of like, why am I going to throw away my prospects?
No,
and
for
go
sure.
out and get, and that's where some of the criticism comes from, though.
Yeah.
People are upset that they feel like the contracts are landlocked. You can't do anything with them.
Yeah.
So you need to give a prospects to bring in a scoring winger, but he thinks the team's not good enough to win a cup. So what do you do?
I think the more disappointment comes from when they were good enough, when people thought they were good enough to win a cup, and he really didn't do anything at the deadline. And there was always good players available, but he always went for the cheap option, hence why he has the nickname Bargain Bob, is he would go out and get the guys who really didn't cost too much and hope they hit. And Patrick Eaves did well when he was with the Ducks when he first came over. And now a lot of health issues that you obviously couldn't have foreseen, but it's disappointing. Pontus Aberg, like you said, this year, picking him up off waivers, that worked out. And I think it's a mixed bag. I think there are people who really like it because they look at his drafting ability, some of the contracts he signed. In our chat on YouTube, SoCal Hockey Fan mentioned the Rakell contract. That's a great contract, obviously, and the fact that they're able to sign him for so long, he's only making under $4 million. And then It just so happened that after he signed that contract, he goes out and has back-to-back 30-goal seasons, so it looks really great, right? And I just think more so than anything, I'm okay with the signing because of when the extension is through. Like I said, it allows the Ducks to know now who's going to lead them through this expansion draft. I think you really need that knowledge of knowing who's going to be doing that. You don't want as an organization to have that open-ended and have Bob Murray's contract expiring before that, leave it to the last season, and even he doesn't know if he's going to be able to do that. Now he can start prepping for that now, and that goes into whether he signs guys, whether he gives out no-move clauses or whatever, and kind of maneuver and get ready for that, because it's not a good thing to say, yeah, we're going to let you know at the end of your contract, and you can start to prep for this, but you might not be around when it even happens. So now he gets that he's comfortable in that seat, that he's going to be the guy leading them through this.
Interesting you talk about contracts, right? We're talking about Bob Murray. Now let's talk about Randy Carlyle. Bob was asked if that there was any point he was going to consider making a coaching change, and his answer flat out was no. That he was focusing on the players and how they're playing. And he just has no indication coming around to say he was going to fire Randy Carlyle. As much as all of us here, Forever Mighty Postgame Show, Forever Mighty Podcast, have chanted #fire Carlyle, he's not being fired. That's out the window. We were all wrong with our predictions.
Yeah.
When he asked how he would grade Carlyle, he said, we're over 500. And he knows goaltending's a big piece of it. He gets it, but he's not going to fire him. And there was mention I saw online about who the hell is the reporter here? I think it was Elliot had said that earlier. Someone brought up the fact that he's going to be a scout or something in capacity when he's done, when Carlisle's done coaching. Yeah, that he's going to have like a head office job somewhere in the Ducks organization. So they're not going to fire him.
No.
He's going to play out the rest of his year. And if they re-sign him for maybe one more year, depending on how he feels, then fine. But if not, he's staying in the organization. So all this that coming out from Bob Murray yesterday just solidifies the fact that we're not going to see Carlyle leave the helm at all this year. No, Carlisle's going to be through and through.
When they lost 7 games in a row and he didn't get fired, that
was it.
You kind of knew he was going to stay around. Like you look at some teams who'd lost a lot less. I mean, St. Louis. They were supposed to be really good this year. They didn't lose 7 in a row, but they were losing games. And
what a train wreck that team is.
Yeah, they're still losing games. They fired Mike Yeo, though, because of that. And other teams, I mean, the Kings were losing games, and they didn't even go on a big losing streak like that. And they fired their coach as well and hired Willie Desjardins. So after that, that was where all the speculation started anyway. And that's where it really got and heated up, because you were looking at all these other coaches getting fired, and it was right around the time the Ducks were just losing games all the time, and you're like, oh, well, Randy Carlyle might get fired, and then now he's made it through this. The Ducks are playing somewhat decent hockey and winning games. That's the big thing, is they're winning, and I just feel like he was never gonna fire Carlyle. Now, the fact that he didn't fire him after that, there's no way he was ever gonna do it.
I agree with you. And speaking of the Blues, it'd be funny if they went out and got Joe Quenneville, brought him back.
I don't know why they haven't already. I mean, they still are losing games.
Well, he's busy doing shot skis, Chicago
games.
Bears games. Yeah. He's busy having a good time.
He was probably there tonight, too. They played the Rams.
So before we wrap tonight, Eddie, we have to pick a winner. Someone's going to take home our the Ryan Miller autographed puck that I have sitting here at my house. Let me grab it. I think I've got it right here. Got this puck. Ryan Miller puck signed. Nick Ritchie and Sam Steele also signed the back of it. So you got 3 players on 1 puck here. But we did a if you go and subscribe to YouTube, click the bell, you're a new subscriber to our YouTube channel. We're really trying to build up our YouTube audience here. And so all of you that have helped out and subscribed are in the running for the puck, which I think is cool. You get a little freebie here for helping us out. So do you have the winner? Are you using a randomizer? How are you doing it? Did you write down 100 names and put them in a hat?
I did. I wrote, no, not in a hat. I typed out all 176, I think it was, before the game started.
So everybody
into a random list generator, and I've got it open now, and I'll load it up here, and we'll pick the winner.
If Jason Lamb wins, we're redoing the shuffle. Screw him. He's no host to win.
The funny thing is, I think our names are in there too, because I literally just copy and pasted the entire list, so we might have to redo it if somehow out of 176 people, it's one of us two. But let's get into it. You won't be able to see it, I don't think, because you don't have. Unless you have the YouTube open, but it's going to be delayed. So I'll let you know who won, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
Oh, you're going to screen share it?
Yeah. I've got it. I've got it open it's up on YouTube right now. Okay.
So it's live. We're going to see who wins the puck. Drum roll.
Okay, and it is Kim Atwood is the winner.
Sweet. There you go. Kim Atwood wins the puck.
We'll figure out how to contact Kim. I think I've seen her in our Forever Mighty 3 Stars before in our leaderboard.
Yeah.
So that
I recognize the name for sure.
So that might be an easy one. But yeah, congratulations to Kim. You win the signed Ryan Miller, Nick Ritchie, and Sam Steele puck that we got personally signed at FanFest for you now. So we'll get in contact with you, figure out how to get it shipped out. But yeah, stick around, guys, because we do some giveaways like this all the time. We do the Forever Mighty 3 Stars before every game. At the end of the month, the winner of that gets a jersey from Cool Hockey. It could be any jersey, so even if you don't want a Ducks jersey, you can literally get any jersey you want, fully customized, and over $200 value. So it's a great contest that Cool Hockey allows us to do.
No, they're great. Yeah, so if you haven't participated, get on that for Forever Mighty 3 Star. And shout out to all of our Patreon peeps, those of you who pay us money every month for bonus shows. We're going to knock out 2 shows this week. We're probably going to do our rant show where the guys usually piss me off more than each other, and I get to rant on a couple topics. They range from what's a beach, right? Is it next to the ocean or next to a lake? Because that would happen to be a random person wanted me to argue about that.
That was aimed to piss me off more than anything. And I believe that was Jason's idea because he just fully believes in that whole idea.
Yeah, Lakeside. That's what he wants you to call it.
It's not happening.
So topics are ranging from that, the wooing at Honda Center, players, coaches, movies, you name it. If you're part of our Patreon, you get to vote on what we talk about. As well, top 10s. Last week we did. I put together a top 10 of the worst contracts by the Ducks over the course of the last 25 years. So that was fun. It's a good time. Our Patreon people are great. If you haven't joined already and you want to support our show, we have several tiers to look from. If you want to kick us a buck, to say, hey, pat on the back, you guys are great. That's awesome too. Or you can go up to $10. We're ordering pucks for everybody who did that, customized bottle opening pucks, which are cool. I'm signing the invoice, and that money will be sent to them tomorrow to have those delivered. They took forever to get back to me, so I apologize for the delay on that. But those are coming, and we do Q&A shows, which is awesome too. And speaking of which, we owe everybody for last month, and then we'll do one for this month. We're going to have someone live on the show. I'd love to do it this Wednesday, Eddie, and get somebody on here. We'll do a little quiz show. They'll give them 5 questions to win another prize. I have some autographed memorabilia sitting over here at my desk as well that we can decide who's going to win that. And then we'll do another one the following week before Christmas. But shout out to everyone who supports us. We love you guys. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Anyone in the comments, anyone who jumps in live chat, anyone who listens to us the next day. We appreciate you guys. We wouldn't do it without you. So let's go Ducks, and we'll talk to you guys Wednesday night.
Thanks for ruining my show, by the way. That's it. I'm sorry you guys had to sit through that, but this is an obligation, contract obligation, they told me. So my kneecaps are sweating, and I really got to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to have to let you guys go. Thank you. Bye.